Hi, this is Glenda. A few weeks ago, I published the bunnies soap, and in that video, I made a batch and I split it in half. And with one half, I made the bunny soap, and with the other half, I told you I was going to show you the process later. Well, today's the day, and I'm going to show you what I did with the other half, which is going to be this bird theme soap. I'm going to jump straight into the stage where we left off. So here we are. The soap batter is at emulsion phase, and I'm going to make a confetti soap. I'm going to add soap scraps that resulted from planing and beveling the One Pot Wonder soap from a few months prior. The fragrance blend that I will be using will discolor the soap to a light brown, so this might be the only bright color that the soap will have. I am trying to tear down into smaller pieces any of the larger pieces that I find, and then I just stir them in. It didn't seem like I had enough, so I did add a few more scraps a couple of times more. Once it looks like I have enough, I'm going to get the molds ready. I have not added the fragrance yet, but I do want to have the molds ready because I know that it is a fast moving fragrance. Okay, so I'm gonna add the fragrance, and this fragrance blend usually accelerates a lot. It sets up really fast. So after I add it, I'm gonna blend it, and then I'm going to try to put it on the mold cavities as soon as I can. I am using an oval cavity mold from Nurture Soap. I find it very versatile because I can use it to make soap dough, and I also can use it to make a small batches like this one. If I remember correctly, it makes a bar that in the end weighs about 3 or 3.5 ounces. I also used a small cavity mold in a rectangular shape for whatever was left over. And if you are interested in seeing where I bought any of these, I'm going to put links in the description box below. I was able to add the parrots almost right away because the soap is already setting up due to the roast element of the fragrance blend. If you want to see how I made the parrots, I'm going to include that footage at the very end of this video, so just stick around to see it. About 10 hours after making the soap, I was able to remove it from the mold. This is primarily because the fragrance accelerates, so it makes it go through the process really fast, and also because I have a high water discount. I thought that the final soaps looked a little bit too bare, too simple, so I did add some soap dough on the top with some flour embeds, and I'm gonna show you next what they ended up looking like in the end and after they had discolored. So this is how I made the parrots. Now, whether you're making an African gray parrot or a parakeet, a green one, the process is pretty much the same because they have the same shape, at least on the head and the body, and the color is mainly what makes them different, and some details on the tail. Now, I did not film the making of the parrots with soap dough, but later what I did is that I was going to make one with polymer clay, and this is the one that I'm showing you. So polymer clay does behave different than soap dough in that it could be hotter depending on which brand you have. But basically, I have created a shape of the head that it's a little bit round, and I'm making the side where the beak is going to be somewhat flat. Then when it's time to add the beak, I first add the bottom part of the beak, and then I'm shaping the top part, which is going to be somewhat like a hook. The pointy part is going to go down and over the part that it's already in there. So I am fiddling with it quite a bit. Like if it's too big, I try to remove some parts of it, and then I try to create the curve back again. When I'm making this, I am looking at pictures of the African gray parrot, because it is important to have a reference of what you're trying to make. This particular one that I made, the head is more rounded than what the pictures were showing me, because I was trying to make like a baby one, and baby ones usually have softer shapes. But if you were making an adult parrot, you will want to make the head a little bit more square and larger, more straight angles or straight sides and tops. When I was taking a drawing course, one of the lessons was about learning to see shapes around you. And once you learn to see shapes in everything that is around you, if you see a house, for example, instead of seeing a house, you try to picture rectangle, or instead of a rectangle, actually something more three-dimensional, like a cube. And then when you see the roof, instead of seeing a roof, you try to picture a triangle or a pyramid if it is in that shape. And the idea is that once you learn to see and recognize shapes in the objects around you, then it will be easier to replicate them, whether that is by drawing them or by sculpting them. Next time that I attempt to make another parrot soup, I'm probably going to shift his gaze, or maybe lean his head towards the side, because I found it hard to photograph them or to really appreciate the parrots unless I held the soap from the side, because their eyes are on the side, so it's kind of difficult to fully appreciate their face when you're just looking at straight ahead. After adding the legs to the bottom of the bird, I'm going to get the wings ready. Now, I don't need to add a lot of details to the wings, because for my purposes, which is to make a soap embed, they are not going to be much visible, but I just want to indicate where they are. Up until this point, I have made most of the parrot with just my hands. However, when it comes time to do the finishing touches, I will be using some tools. When doing the eyes, it's important to have them at the same height than the one on the opposite side of the head, so that it looks symmetric. I will list below a link to where you can find similar tools to the ones that I'm using. But this is it pretty much. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!